Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to my channel. Introduce, my name is Putri Zakia Hardianti with student ID number 1201052714 from Mathematics Education Study Program, student of the State Islamic University of Sultan Syarif Qasim Riau. Previously, I would like to thank Mr. Idam Syahputra who has given the assignment for the final semester exam. Now, I will present about Palestine and Israel. History of Palestine and Israel. The complicated history of Palestine and Israel began on May 5, 1948, when Jewish leaders declared the establishment of the State of Israel. This triggered the rejection of the Palestinian Arabs and war broke. In the Al-Nakba War, which was defined as a catastrophe, hundreds of thousands of Palestinians fled their homes. After a year, Israel has managed to control most of the territory. The conflicted history of Palestine and Israel then turned into war, starting with the attack on an Egyptian air base by Israel until Israeli ground troops entered the Sinai Peninsula. Israel took over the Gaza Strip, Sinai Peninsula, West Bank, Golan Heights, and nation Arab-dominated Jerusalem. Next, the beginning of the Israel-Palestine conflict. Jewish leaders accepted the UN plan, but many Palestinians opposed it, especially those who had fought British interests in the region for decades. In 1949, Britain withdrew from Palestine and Israel declared itself an independent state. At the time, Palestinian objected and Arab countries were mobilized to prevent the creation of the State of Israel. The incident led to the Arab-Israeli War in 1948. When the war ended, Israel has controlled most of the former British territory, including most of Jerusalem. Jordan controls the West Bank and Egypt controls Gaza. According to the United Nations, more than half of the Palestinian Arab population fled and was expelled. However, Israel offered to return the territory they had seized in exchange. Arabs had to recognize Israel's right to exist and provide guarantees against future attacks. However, the offer was rejected by Arab leaders. Only Egypt will negotiate the return of the Sinai Peninsula with an offer of full diplomatic recognition of Israel. Next, comparison of the strength of the Israel military with Palestinian factors. Israel military power. First, Israel's defense forces have nearly 170,000 active military personnel, while more than 3 million men and women are available for military service. Second, the IDF also offers a very large budget with $20.5 billion or IDR 292 trillion. Israel is ranked 5th in terms of military spending globally. Third, the Israeli army also has a wide range of weapons produced by the country's domestic military industry, which is one of the world's largest exporters, selling weapons to countries such as Russia and the US. Fourth, Israel is also secretly developing nuclear weapons, which have not been produced under the Non-Proliferation Treaty, an international treaty that governs the world nuclear inventories. Fifth, Israel has sophisticated and diverse ballistic and cruise missile systems. They not only attack Palestinian cities but also countries like Egypt, Syria, and Iran. Sixth, with its 10,000 active duty personnel, the Israeli Navy has 4 corvettes, 8 missile boats, 5 submarines, 45 patrol boats, and 2 support ships. Meanwhile, Israel continues to keep its missile inventory secret. And last, Israel has an effective Iron Dome air defense system to protect itself from Hamas and Islamic Jihad rocket attacks. The picture of Hamas Palestine and Israel military. Palestinian armed forces. Without a real state or regular army, the different Palestinian resistance groups have far less manpower than the Israeli army, which numbers between 30,000 and 50,000 soldiers. Hamas has between 10,000 and 20,000 fighters. In 2009, the International Crisis Group estimated the strength of the Qassam Brigade's Hamas armored wing to be between 7,000 and 10,000. But recent estimates say the group's fighters could reach nearly 40,000. Islamic Jihad, another armed group backed by Iran, has fighters in the region of between 8,000 and 9,000. This is picture of Palestinian loss of land 1946 until 2010. Thank you for watching. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.